Hi folks, exeter-rider. You join me in sunny Devon once again. It's always sunny in Devon, isn't it? And this week it's my full review of the SINNIS Akuma 125. Start right here. I've already done a first ride video on it, so please do check that out. And I'll put a card up in the right hand corner here so you can watch that first. Right, so this is the SINNIS Akuma 125. I've had it for 2 weeks now. And it's been brilliant actually. Really enjoyed having a 125 back again. I've done quite a few this year, so they're brilliant for around town and things like that, trotting around the lanes. And of course, with it being a 125, it costs next to nothing to run, whether it's a £22 tax per year or the actual fuel economy itself is never ceases to amaze me, to be honest with you, the fuel economy on these bikes. This one here's got, I think it's got 11 litre or 12 litre tank, and it just goes on and on and on. Sat on the bike is very easy. I've got my feet flat on the floor. It is a small bike, but it's not a mini bike like you get with the Benelli TNT or the Honda Monkey, for example. Very much similar to the Honda Grom, but it feels a bit bigger. Feels a bit more macho in many ways compared to the Honda Grom. You know, it's very nice to ride. It's pleasurable. It's every time you go out on it, it's just enjoyable to ride. The only time it gets lost, like any other 125, is when you sort of get above 40 or 50 miles an hour on an A road, and it starts to struggle a bit. Apart from that, roads like this, it's no problem at all. 40-50 mile an hour limits, like most places are these days, and it handles it really quite well. It's got a 5-speed box. The gearbox is very good going up, but it is a little bit hesitant sometimes on going down. It's a little bit unforgiving, so if you end up getting to the lights and for whatever reason you're in third gear, it doesn't like kicking down too quickly. It likes to take its time, and you have to let the clutch out just a little bit just to get some engagement of knocking down the further two cogs. So the switchgear is quite nice. It doesn't feel cheap. I mean, this bike is only £2,600, but it feels, you know, above its range for being that price in that price range, which is pretty good. The 14-inch wheels as opposed to 12-inch like you get on other smaller bikes, 125s, is actually feels like it's almost a perfect balance, and they're quite nice. They're not too twitchy at higher speed, and overall it just feels great. The clutch to pull in is not the lightest that I've known, but it's still very, very light. I mean, I would compare it to a 500cc motorbike, maybe a 300, as opposed to a standard 125, but still, again, you know, it's almost perfect. And the biting point is in a nice place as well, where you'd kind of naturally expect a biting point to be, or friction point, whatever you want to call it. Then yeah, it feels good. It's alright. Now, one thing that's let it down a little bit are the mirrors. They're blooming not very good at all. No matter how I set them up, I can't seem to get it right. It's almost like it jets out to the left and the right every time you set them up, so you actively have to move your head quite a bit to see what's going on there, which is a bit of a shame. We have got the combined braking. It works very well on this bike. Some of the bikes I haven't liked it, like the bigger sort of cruiser 125s, like the Outlaw and things like that. I don't particularly like it, but this one, it's not too bad. It's okay. Big tractor coming down, don't want to argue with that one. So yeah, I mean, it's a good little bike for around town and things like that. I mean, I will be taking you in town later in the review. It's pretty good, but for now what we'll do is we'll just have a quick test, I think, of what speed we can get out of this bike. So we'll cross over and do that. Ideal place to do it. Right, doing the speed limit now, so we won't open it up anymore until we hit this bit here. Let's go. 4th gear. I've got 5 gears. We have the gear indicator as well. Up to 55, 56, 57. Change gear into 5th. Top gear now. Slightly hunched over. I feel a bit of an idiot, but I might as well get a tuck in. 58, 59. I bet they're all laughing at me. Yeah, so a slight incline now. So I got up to 59, which is about normal for a 125. They normally range from 59 to sort of 64 from my experience. So yeah, I mean, it handles it okay. It's actually quite stable. It's a little bit twitchy on the 14-inch wheels, which you expect, but actually vibrations wise there's a tiny bit in the bars, nothing in the pegs, and nothing coming through the seat. Very, very impressed. Not bad at all for a 125. In fact, I'd even say it's probably one of the best 125s for anti-vibration at high speed that I've ever ridden. I can't think of anything else that it kind of trumps that, really. So I'm in the city work now, so we'll just see what it's like filtering up through the traffic. The bars are quite wide for considering it is a mini bike, so to speak. So I saw that, don't worry. It's not got huge amounts of power, just normal 125cc amount of power, I would say. What you kind of expect. I mean, all 125s have similar power levels, really. There's not a lot in it, so to speak. And the engine pulls well. It is quite smooth on that front. And if you plan ahead, you can do a bit of weaving around in a safe manner. What's she doing? She's going to the left, so I can go down here. There's my spot there. Lovely jubbly, and off we go. So, with it being a 125, obviously going to save a huge amount of money getting around cities, and certainly with it being so nimble, you can really duck this in and outside the traffic quite well. And also slow speed manoeuvres is very easy on the clutch, because the clutch is very light indeed. Even in 125 terms, the clutch is pretty spot on. Going over drain covers and things like that, the suspension is budget. Move over a bit, mate. The suspension is a bit budget. And I think crashy is a strong word, but it's kind of knocking on that side of things. So for getting around cities, the Akuma is fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about the competition. So we've got the Benelli TNT 125. I've ridden that bike. It's a good bike, but it does feel like a mini bike, as opposed to this one, which feels like a proper size 125 that's just been shortened a little bit. The Honda Grom is also the big competition as well. That is probably the strongest competitor in the 125 mid-size bike market. How does it compare to that? And obviously Honda make very, very strong, good motorcycles. They got a good backup for dealerships going across the country. List goes on. How does this compare? Well, you're paying a lot less money. You're paying £1,500 less than what you would be for a Grom. The 2022 model I haven't ridden yet. They have upgraded the seat, which is meant to be a lot better. Styling wise is a big change as well. I personally like the look of the Akuma more than the Grom. I think it's more stylish. I like the trellis frame, and it's just feels a better set-up bike in many ways. The Grom's engine is bulletproof. This isn't bad either. This is pretty good as well, so we can't really use that to pin against it. So it's all swings and roundabouts at the end of the day. What would I have? Well, I think as a third bike, because I already own two big bikes, I think I would probably go for this one if the dealership network was set up and I knew that I could service it and the parts were good, which generally speaking, SINNIS parts are available online as well. Clutch plates were like 30, 40 pound, you know, it's all 30, 40 pounds here and there, rather than what the bigger bike manufacturers are, which go into the hundreds quite often. Even panels for here, you know, you're looking at 30, 40 pounds, you know, so, you know, against probably 200 or 300 pounds from one of the other bigger bike manufacturers. So there's a lot to be said for it, and as I say, it rides as well, it feels nice. I'd even say there's less vibration than many of the other bikes. Now, the first thing that you see is the triple exhaust, which comes out of the engine there and out into here. It looks pretty good. It's not particularly loud. Obviously, it's got to be Euro 5 compatible for the UK regulations. So, yeah, it's not very loud, but it kind of looks looks pretty good. You know, many people would like that. The chassis is a trellis frame. Overall, the bike is, you know, incredibly light. It's very light indeed, and this is the dashboard, very clear and concise, very much like the Honda Grom. We've got a fuel gauge on this side, a temperature, a clock, a gear indicator, a trip miles there, speedo, and a rev bar that starts from the left and goes up around the top. We can change the color as well, like so. Looks good. Finish wise, it isn't too bad. Again, remember that you're paying £2.5 grand. Yes, if it was another £1,000 or £2,000, I might have something to say, but this is still powder coated nicely. It's surprisingly good, the way that it's been finished. You will find in time that maybe the bolts might start to rust a little bit, but as with any bike really, and certainly a bike like this, you do need to keep it under a cover. I've said it 100 times before, and you do need to look after it. It's not the sort of bike you can just leave outside and out in the elements. You know, you do need to look after bikes like these, and it will last. I'm confident that this bike will last if it's looked after. Right, so specification of this bike, it produces 9.7 horsepower at 9,000 RPM and 8.5 Newton meters of torque at 7.5 thousand RPM. It comes with a 5-speed gearbox and you should get around 120 miles to the gallon. The tank is 13.5 litres, which is a nice size for a 125. They say that gives you a 300-mile range or so. I could quite imagine that is true, actually. The seat is 820 millimeters high, and the weight of the bike is 125 kilograms. So it's probably around 15 kilograms more than the Honda Grom. This bike is £2,600, which is a really good price. The seat to be a bit better, that's the only thing that lets it down a bit for me, because it slopes you down towards the tank, and it does tend to start aching you after a while. But anyway, I just want to say thanks for watching. If you could thumbs up, that is a massive help to me, and it helps my YouTube figures go up in the right direction. And yeah, if you haven't done already, please subscribe. That'd be great to have you along the journey. I've got loads coming up over the next year. So thank you very much to SINNIS as well. They've always been good to me, and I really appreciate them letting me have the bike for the last 2 weeks. And I will catch up with you next week, same time. Cheers, guys.